Frustrated you are, more disappointed you are, that's the moment the average person quits. Business school, you have these professors teaching business, but not a lot of them have companies. And then you got people that, failed out of high school that are billionaires. Why is that?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Vince Reed Podcast. Here with the main man.
Rebranded
Slightly, because we've been talking so much about what's been going on with previous episodes, and we wanted to kind of bring in more on what we're doing here.
DM lightings,
as you can see, we're upgrading a bit.
Mike's OnlyFans. It's blowing up.
Neither confirm nor deny. I don't know what you're talking about.
I can confirm.
I don't have an OnlyFans. But anywho, we got Connor on the ones and twos.
Everyone, I have a mic now. And let me tell you, I've waited for this moment my entire life. It feels really good.
Connor's moving up in the podcast team.
1 inch at a time.
So with that being said, we're going to dive in here at the Vince Reed Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and we're going to be asking Vince the pressing questions. The pressing questions for today. Well, first off, how you doing?
I'm good. Lakers about to, we're about to do some things tonight.
They're playing the Warriors?
We're playing the Warriors.
Game 1?
Steph Curry, we shutting you down. We're taking another chip.
Either way, it's going to be a really good series.
Let's go.
So question 1. Obviously, Eboov. We've been talking about that little by little, but how's that going? What's the process like so far?
Yeah, Eboov, for those of you who are like, what the heck is an Eboov? Stands for Entrepreneur, Business Owner, Online Video. It's my new SaaS company, and it's damn near killing me. So if you find me on the side of the road, stretched out, Eboov did it. SaaS is no joke, but it's been worth it.
It's so interesting with the process because I remember you were saying that you were part of, or you were kind of like part of this group. What was that? The boardroom group, and you thought you were the only one that was going through, all these business issues and things like that until you got into the group, and then you hear all these other entrepreneurs talking about their own issues, and like, wow, you're going through all that? I'm not the only one?
It's crazy. It's true. I know people, they see people that are making money and everything on the outside looks all good and warm and fuzzy. Mm-hmm. But behind closed doors, it's like a hurricane went off. Trust me, I know. A lot of these people call me in to do their marketing and to come help them with their business and consulting. And you get behind the curtain, and it is a damn shit show.
Yeah.
Sorry for my language.
No, but that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yes.
It's not like
it's tough.
You would see on The Social Network, that movie.
Yeah.
It's
and
not.
That goes for my business, too. Sometimes behind closed doors, it's a shit show.
Yeah, and it's natural because we're all human, but as the saying always goes, it's like it's not how much, it's how much you can stomach and like push through it and like think effectively.
Yeah, you just gotta withstand it. And here's the cool thing: so frustration and disappointment. That's the world's way of telling you you're closer to the money. I truly believe that. Mm-hmm. The more frustrated you are, the more disappointed you are, that's the moment the average person quits. So if you're the person that figures out the solution, if you're the person that beats down that door and realizes, oh man, that was really frustrating, but now looking back, okay, it really wasn't that bad, that's the world's way of telling you you're closer to the money.
That makes a lot of sense because it's like that image, or it's like an image I saw on social media, and I'm sure most people have seen it. It's the person mining for the diamonds. Is on the top column or on the top row is the person like inches away, and you can see the diamonds there. On the bottom row, it's the person that actually reached the diamonds because they kept going. Mm-hmm. And the person on the top was already walking away because, they were fed up with it. And that goes with business as well. So
absolutely,
it holds true 100%. So I got the show notes here, and we're going to be running through these to make sure we hit most of the points. So obviously, Eboov news, we got through that. We're going to keep you in the loop. More features coming soon. Actually, one big feature is coming soon, and it's almost in the works, right? It's in production.
The main feature.
The main feature. It's in production with right now. And well, they don't know what the feature is.
Connor.
They don't know what the feature is.
Okay, he slipped. Bleep that out.
But you're going to like it.
All
right. So
don't be up here getting cut.
Hey, look, people want to know.
All right.
We'll tease it out a bit, but all right, trending business news. What's going on? Twitter bug logging people out. And people are saying,
so give them the backstory. What happened?
Okay. So there was this article. It's actually trending on Google right now, and it's about people being logged out of their accounts on Twitter. Well, that's what the headline's all about, and people are, what's going on, Elon? Why are you doing this? But you had a good take on this, on why this was such a smart move for Elon.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, that was 100% likely done on purpose, in my opinion, and probably one of the smartest moves Elon has made since he's been in Twitter. So if you guys remember, before Elon bought Twitter, he tried to back out of the deal talking about there were all these bots and fake accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, trying to do whatever he was doing to the price. So if you log everybody out and then you force people to log back in, okay, you're instantly able to figure out, who is a legitimate user.
Right.
And you're also able to easily identify the bots. So let's say you log everyone out, and then all of a sudden, out of a certain IP address, something happens, 1 million people log in. Then you can identify who are the bad people. Now, why do that? One, obviously, get a good idea of who's an actual user or not. But number two, from an advertiser's perspective, as an advertiser, wouldn't you rather, even if it cut Twitter's user base in half, know that the people that you're targeting are legitimate users, right?
Right.
You can do so much with your resources. And again, this is coming from a guy that's now in the SaaS industry. I understand the importance of understanding your user base. So I just laugh at all these people, Elon gets in there, people are like, there's some bug. It could have been something that happened, but I think that was on purpose.
Right.
To get a good grasp on who's an actual user or not. And I think that's going to strengthen the company, allow you to eliminate fat that's not needed. Maybe you thought you had 5 billion, I don't know, some crazy number of users, comes out that's half of that, and you were, hiring based on that number. Now you can, be more efficient on so many different levels.
Now, do you think it was a smart move for him to add the payment for the blue check marks?
Yes. That's another thing. One of the smartest things he's done. The guy understands, he knows how to make money. I mean, look, now Instagram copied it, did the exact same thing.
Right.
So, you figured out a way to add revenue. You figured out a way to see who's an actual user in your company. And now you can hire and make moves accordingly. Dude's a beast, man.
That's true. Beast. He has major pool, and he's smart too. Most people think like he's thinking irrationally, but obviously he wouldn't be where he's at if he didn't think likewise. So, next thing, MrBEAST on death. You were talking about something you saw. I think it was like on the Lex Friedman podcast. What did MrBEAST say?
So I love to listen to podcasts, and like most entrepreneurs, and I was listening to this one podcast with MrBEAST, and he was talking about how he did a poll on Twitter, ironically. And I think the question was something like, and I might butcher the question, so if I do, just let me know how bad I butchered it in the comments. But, it was something like, would you accept $10,000 if you knew that a random person that you didn't know would die? And he did it as a joke. He said he did it late at night. He just wanted to see what people would say.
Yeah.
And he thought everybody was going to say, absolutely not. I wouldn't murder someone for $10,000. But come to find out, I guess, I don't know if it's just Twitter users or the U.S. in general. Well, I don't know if it was just a U.S. poll, but it was something like 78 or maybe 80 or even higher percentage said that they'd take the money. And, pretty much murder people for $10,000, which I thought was crazy.
Wow.
Over $10,000.
I think part of it is like that big disconnect that doesn't really hit people. I mean, one, obviously it's not good, right? But
well, I think the problem with it, the murder part is obviously the problem.
Obviously, yeah.
But like the bigger problem is the perception that $10,000 is like a lot of money.
Right.
It's not. I don't want to like say it's not money that you can do something with, but like it's $10,000 not gonna change your life. Like you'll go through it and you'll be back in the same boat.
Right.
To like put a murder charge on your over 10,000 is ridiculous. But what was interesting about that whole interview, that he went on to talk about how just that thought makes him think about his own mortality.
Mm-hmm.
So he was talking about how when he creates videos, he's thinking about that. And I don't know if you know this, but he's put out videos of like this, ahead of time that's already submitted and ready to launch, like 10 years from today, 20 years from today, 30 years from today, where I expect I should be, that's going to be just released. So he said, like, one of his things that he thinks about, which I thought was crazy, like this is his words, not mine. MrBEAST said, you could find the quote, that he fantasizes sometimes about like his death, meaning like if he found out he had 3 months to live, that he would then go crazy creating content to where he would just continue to pump out content like every day, where his videos would keep coming out years after his death. And it just made me think, man, like that's wild. One, everybody's gonna die, but two, just like, how you can control your own narrative even past your death with video.
Well, you were also mentioning before this, it was kind of like Tupac.
Yeah.
With his albums.
And that's what I told you when I came in. I'm like, I think that led to the legacy and, the whole mystique of Tupac. So for those of you who were around when Tupac was, in his prime, after he died, I mean, there was like an album coming out every month, and and it was relevant, and he was saying things that were happening during that time, even though he, had died already.
Right.
So I think that element of putting out so much music led to his whole like aura, right?
Yeah.
So when you're pumping out that content, be thinking about that, right? Be thinking about like you have the ability to continue to like, leave a legacy even past your existence here on Earth. And that's one of the reasons why the DM, I wanted to do some of those episodes, because I think it'll be funny. Like when I'm gone, like my kids kind of go back and kind of see how my whole digital marketing career started and some of the ups and downs that I went through.
Yeah, and you can check that out on the channel. We started season 2, but we are probably going to go back to it. We wanted to do this format of just like talking about things, and it's easier for you to kind of share DM stories on this show as well. Because
I mean, the DM is great. The problem with the DM is that it's chronological, right? Mm-hmm. So the stories, if you go back and watch like season 1, it's starting from the beginning. So people were finding like, let's say episode 7, but they'd have to go back to 1 to really understand what happened. So this setting allows us to kind of just dig into stories, as they come. Yeah. Like the one we just shared with you.
Yeah. So let's hit a couple questions here that I got. Actually, one of which is, you brought this up. In your opinion, why are athletes better at business than just scholars?
So, we were talking about this, right? So business school, these professors teaching business, but not a lot of them have companies, right? And then you got people that, failed out of high school that are billionaires. Why is that? Obviously, I don't have any statistical data behind my theory, but I can tell you that knowing a lot of successful people, I mean, I'm thinking through them all right now, and they all were athletes at some point. Most of them were not very good in school. And I think 2 things. One, they're like, okay, you think I'm not good at school? Then I'll show you in the real world, number one. I think that people that were struggling in school, they were focused on something else, like something else creative, typically like sports. And in sports, like it's very competitive, right? It's you're dealing with like, it's like kill or be killed. Yeah. Right? You're dealing with failures, you're dealing with like fatigue, and you're tired, but you got to keep working through. So what happens in everyday life, right? Everyday life, people that just kind of conformed through the regular system, they did good through school, but they just kind of were able to get there. People that were failing in school, they were always like, you better keep your grades up or you're going to be held back. So even though they do just enough, they'd have to battle back.
It's like sink or swim.
Right. And then, like, they get into sports. You better keep working. You're not going to play. They're, like, already building battle back muscles.
Right.
Like, through their life. Whereas the people that were just smart, they're just smart. Like, everything was kind of good for them. I think that there's a natural element of people that are in sports, people that struggled in school, that they had to do just enough to just get by. Parents yelling at them, they're grounded, got to pull your grades up. It's like this, you know what I'm saying? And it's like with business. Like, you come in and struggle, you got to fix it.
Right.
And then the person that, like, it was the person that had everything simple, they don't know how to that's not a muscle you can just turn on.
It's not, no.
Right? So you were good in school, everything was great, all growing up, and then all of a sudden you grow a business and you struggle and you fail, gosh, it's like a fish out of water. Let me just get that good, comfortable job. Let me just work here and have everything good because it feels good. Mm-hmm. So that's my personal theory on why I think entrepreneurs, the athletes make the best business owners.
That makes sense too, because I think part of it is like structure, because in school, it's its own ecosystem, and it's easy to just like go with the flow. This is what's going to happen this time and this time and this time. But once someone gets out of that and into like the world, they're starting their business, there's really no structure, technically speaking, because you kind of have to build your own structure from the ground up. And then that's when you have to be disciplined in order to make sure that it stays growing. But yeah, I get what you're saying, because once they hit roadblock number one and they don't have those things that they've built in order to get past that, those problem solving skills or like that grit.
It's like, first of all, being competitive is a sport. Mm-hmm. Like, competing is a sport. So, like, I'm coaching my kids in sports. Mm-hmm. And, like, we did this drill where I throw all these cones all over the court, like literally hundreds of the flat cones. And they have to dribble the ball and they have to pick up the cones and then dribble it back to the baseline. And they create a pile. And then at the end, you count all the cones that you got, and it's a race. Mm-hmm. At the end of the race, I go around to the kids. I say, count your cones, and then whoever had the most wins. And then I ask them, I say, how many of you guys felt like you could have got more? Everybody says yes. And I said, did you guys watch the NCAA championship game? They go, yes. I'm like, how many of you guys want to play in that game? They all raise their hand. I'm like, if you want to play in that game, the answer can never be more. You have to start building the competitive muscle now. It's not something you can turn on. I know firsthand. I told you my story of my first time running sprints in college.
Yeah.
Running wind sprints, this kid smokes me. I never experienced that before. Like, a kid that was that much faster than me until I got to college. And I didn't build those muscles. I was just depending on natural, God-given abilities. Mm-hmm. And I had coaches say, Vince, you need to work harder in high school. You need to work harder in the weight room. You need to work harder in sprints. And when I got to college, I realized what he was saying. And although I had it in me now with the mindset and the personal development skills I have, thinking back, at the time, I didn't have those skills. Therefore, I couldn't just turn that muscle on.
Right.
I didn't have the ability. It's kind of like when you lift weights. You've been working out before. You've been at the gym, right? You know, when the lactic acid starts hitting.
Right.
I guarantee you, if you go in your car and you ask yourself, did I have another rep? Your answer would be yes.
That's the point where you got to
That's the point when you have to push.
Yep. Exactly. That's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. And that applies to everything else in life.
Yeah.
All right. Next segment, actually the last segment, Connor's curveball. What you got for us, Connor?
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, new segment, Connor's curveball. It's a great time. Really excited. So, headline, Godfather of AI leaves Google, warns of tech's dangers. His name's Jeffrey Hinton. The man widely considered to be the godfather of artificial intelligence has left Google with a message sharing his concerns about the potential dangers stemming from the same technology he helped build. He said he wants to talk about AI safety issues without having to worry about how it interacts with Google's business. And as long as he was paid by Google, he could not talk about AI safety issues at all. So he left so he can talk about the potential dangers of AI. Now, to be honest, I think that's kind of wild that the guy that has perpetuated modern AI technology has left the one of the big places that's helping push it forward to criticize it and talk about like, hey, we need to slow down and talk about these certain things. I think that's a potential danger for sure. I think that can affect all businesses. I think that can affect, film industry. It can affect the marketing industry. Like, he's seeing something going on with AI right now that maybe not too many people are actually noticing. And I know for us, like, we talk about AI in like a relative good light. I think this is something to really think about for sure. That the guy that founded AI in the first, one of the best AI developers in the entire world is saying this. He actually quit his job. So what do you guys think about that? How do you think it's going to affect businesses moving forward? Do you think there are any potential real world dangers that we're not even considering in regards to AI because of this? Let me know your thoughts.
That's a loaded question, Connor. Of course, I think that there's potential dangers, but I believe that there's potential dangers to everything. That's kind of how I look. Like, you could, the foods we eat. I think that it's like what's hot today, like what's popular today. Like, the world, it's new, so we're gonna always, here are the dangers, here are the dangers. I just think that the world is full of dangers. Right now, it just happens to be AI. I believe that AI has been prevalent way longer than right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think, to think that this kind of technology, right, that we're all seeing, just popped out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Like, the world, you've been using AI.
Autocorrect.
Forever, right?
Voice recognition.
Like, to me, I just look at it like, look, what could possibly go wrong? Like, what's the worst possible outcome of AI? And the worst one that I heard about was something from a guy it was from Billy's his class that he had. We had that guy come in
he has his company Scorpion.
Right. So this guy was talking about how with AI you can have little small drones fly into a stadium, and the drone could land on someone's head and specifically take that individual out and not others. And he said this has been around since like the 80s. So I'm just like, okay. Like, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
But it's been around. Here is my point.
Right.
So my point is, like, I think that as humans, when something becomes mainstream, like the natural reaction is to be like, oh my gosh, this happened. I'm not saying that we shouldn't worry about it.
Right.
But it's kind of like I can speak for us as Christians, right? The worst that could happen probably is that. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, then it happened.
Life goes on.
It was kind of like when I used to be afraid of flying. I'd be afraid of flying on a plane. And this guy, I remember in college, we used to have we'd take charters where we'd go, and we'd have this guy that would do the team prayers or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, I remember one time I was like, man, I hate flying. Like, and he was just like, he said the same thing. Like, you believe in God? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what are you worried about? If you die, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
And then I was like, he's kind of right. So I always go like, what's the worst that could happen? Mm-hmm. And I think it's that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, some guy creates something that says your voice and calls your bank and takes all your money. Okay, then you call your bank and you say it wasn't you, and they have ways to figure out that it wasn't you, and you get your money back.
Right.
Like, it's like, you know what I mean? So like, when I look at it outside of me dying, which if that happened, make sure you take care of my family. But I would be in a better place, and I'd be chilling up there with Tupac and them. What'd you say to that, Connor?
That's a really good answer. But Michael, what's your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are similar. I mean, look, we can only do so much right now. The best thing to do is focus on how you can live the best life possible and help as many people as possible, and trying to follow your life's purpose as much as possible. And as long as you do that, then there's always going to be things bad happening around you. But, you just got to be aware of that, but you can't let that stop you from your mission in life. And that's really it. Everything else will take care of itself from that point on. So I think if you look at yourself, or if you look at things positively when it comes to AI, I think it's a positive tool. Just like any tool, like you got a hammer, right? You can use a hammer to do bad things. but you can use a hammer to build great things, buildings and whatever else.
He's so wise. He's so wise.
I'm just here to facilitate. No, I know, but that's how it is. That's how it is, and I think that's the way people should look at it. And I think people are good in general are good natured, and that's should just keep living life to the best of your ability. And I think with that, we've hit all the points for this episode. I appreciate all of you tuning in. We're going to be putting more of these out there. If you have any questions, anything you would like us to cover on the episode, feel free to put them down in the comments below. And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what we talked about? Because you have an opinion as well. You're a part of, this community. Hopefully you become a part of Eboov, if you're a marketer. That will definitely help your life as well. But with that being said, we appreciate you being on here, and make sure to like and subscribe. See you on the next episode. Later.